did a student's life change from one phone call? I was teaching my third grade class during morning announcements when I first noticed Shane was ducking and hiding from something. Everything was normal during the Pledge of Allegiance, except Shane did something I'd never seen before. He was standing there with his hand over his heart like everyone else when suddenly he ducked down and covered his head with both arms, just completely crouched behind his desk like someone had thrown something at him. Then after about 3 seconds, he popped back up and continued reciting the pledge like nothing happened. His little voice joined right back in with, "And to the republic for which it stands," without missing a beat. I thought maybe he dropped his pencil or saw a spider. Kids do weird stuff all the time. Shane was this quiet 8-year-old with messy brown hair who always wore long sleeves even when it was hot outside. He sat in the back corner and never caused trouble, just minded his own business and did his work without complaint. But then it happened again during math class. I was calling on students to answer multiplication problems, and when I raised my hand to point at the board, Shane flinched hard. Not just a little jump, but a full body reaction like he was expecting to get hit. He ducked his head down and brought his shoulders up like he was protecting himself from something. The other kids didn't seem to notice, but I definitely did. I started paying closer attention to Shane after that. During reading time, when another student raised their hand to ask a question, Shane would tense up and glance around nervously. When I walked behind his desk to check his work, he would freeze completely until I moved away. The pattern became more obvious during PE class. We were playing kickball, and every time someone wound up to kick the ball hard, Shane would duck or step backward even if he was nowhere near the action. When kids cheered loudly or clapped their hands, he would cover his ears and look scared. It was like he was constantly waiting for something bad to happen. I tried talking to him after class one day, but Shane just stared at his shoes and mumbled that everything was fine. He wouldn't make eye contact and kept tugging at his sleeves like he was trying to hide something. When I asked if anyone at home was helping him with homework, he nodded quickly and said his dad was really good at helping him learn stuff. During recess, I noticed Shane never played with the other kids. He would sit by himself on the bench or walk around the edges of the playground. If a ball rolled near him or kids ran past him playing tag, he would tense up again. The school counselor mentioned that Shane had been coming to see her but wouldn't talk about anything specific. Then came the day that changed everything. It was dismissal time, and I was walking my class outside to the pickup area. Parents were lined up in their cars, and kids were running to find their rides home. I spotted Shane walking toward a beat-up sedan where his father was waiting. The man looked impatient and was drumming his fingers on the steering wheel. I was helping another student find their parent when I glanced back at Shane. That's when I saw it happen. Shane approached the car and said something to his father through the window. The man's face twisted into an angry expression, and without warning, he reached out and slapped Shane hard across the back of his head. The sound was loud enough that I heard it from 20 feet away. Shane didn't cry or make a sound. He just pulled his hand against his chest and got in the car like this was completely normal. His father was already pulling away before Shane even had his seatbelt on. I stood there feeling sick to my stomach as I realized what I had been witnessing all along. That night, I couldn't sleep thinking about Shane ducking during the pledge and flinching every time someone raised their hand. All those long sleeves in hot weather, the way he protected his head like he'd had practice doing it. Everything suddenly made horrible sense. I called CPS first thing the next morning. My hands were shaking as I explained what I had observed and what I witnessed in the pickup line. The social worker took detailed notes and said they would investigate immediately. She asked me to document everything I could remember about Shane's behavior and any other concerning signs. 2 days later, CPS went to Shane's house for a welfare check. What they found was worse than I had imagined. Shane had bruises covering his arms and back, old ones that were healing and fresh ones that were still dark purple. His father was arrested that same day for child abuse. I never saw Shane again after that. The social worker told me he was placed in protective custody while they searched for relatives who could take him. Then I learned the most heartbreaking part of the story. Shane's mother had died 2 years earlier in what was officially ruled an accident, but now seemed much more suspicious given what they discovered about his father. Shane became an orphan because the system failed to protect him from the one person who should have kept him safe. I think about him every morning during the Pledge of Allegiance and hope that wherever he ended up, he finally found people who would never make him duck and cover his head in fear.